I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Jake, and I've been with my wife Emily for almost 10 years now. We met in college. She was the girl everyone loved to hate, a little bitchy, sharp-tongued, but I saw through her. I thought I knew everything about her, or at least I did until recently. Things started feeling off a few months ago, small signs that I didn't really want to acknowledge at first. She'd come home late more often, excuse herself with some bullshit about work or late nights with friends. She suddenly started wearing different perfume, and her phone was always in her purse, even at dinner. I'd catch her sneaking around with that look in her eyes, like she was hiding something, but I felt stupid bringing it up. I mean, what would I say? Hey babe, are you cheating on me? Yeah, not exactly something I wanted to toss out there without solid proof. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Then came the moment that knocked the wind out of me. It was a lazy Saturday, and I was scrolling through her phone while she was in the shower. I don't know what made me do it, probably some gut instinct I ignored for too long, but I checked her messages. And what I found damn near broke me. She'd been texting someone named Ryan nonstop. The way she spoke to him, the flirtation in her words. I saw plans to meet up, late-night texts that weren't about work or friends, explicit stuff even. She was hiding a whole secret life, and she'd been lying to my face all along. I stared at the screen, shocked. My stomach twisted, and I felt like I was going to throw up. I didn't even need to confront her right then. I knew what I had to do. I just sat there, staring at the phone, feeling cold and numb at the same time. The real kick in the teeth was how she reacted when I finally brought it up. I waited until she got out of the shower, trying to keep my voice steady, but my hands trembled. Emily, I need to talk. I saw your messages. Who is Ryan? Her face twisted into that familiar sneer. Oh, come on, Jake, it's not what you think. It's just sex, nothing serious. Just some stupid flirting. It doesn't mean anything. She acted like she was annoyed I was bringing it up, like I was the one overreacting. I could see her eyes darting around, trying to come up with some lie to cover her ass. I told her I wasn't stupid, that I knew she'd been lying for months. She shrugged, rolled her eyes, and spat out some excuse about how I was paranoid, how I didn't trust her. But I saw her desperation behind her bitchy facade. She was caught, cornered, and she knew it. That moment, it changed everything. I felt a mixture of anger, betrayal, and heartbreak all at once. I mean, I loved her, or I thought I did. But seeing her with that smug, defensive attitude made me realize I'd been fooling myself. I thought I knew her, but she was just hiding the real her all along. And the worst part, she was justifying her cheating by telling me I was possessive or jealous, like I was the problem for feeling betrayed. That's when I understood. I needed to figure out what I was going to do next, because this wasn't just about her lying anymore. It was about what I deserved and what I was willing to accept. Honestly, I felt like my world was crashing down, but I also knew I couldn't just let it go. I had to plan my next move carefully. After that confrontation, everything changed. I couldn't sleep that night. My mind kept circling around her words, her sneer, that stupid phone with Ryan's messages. I felt numb, but also furious, furious at her for lying, furious at myself for not seeing it sooner. I didn't even want to think about what she might have done, what kind of betrayal I'd been living through without realizing. It felt like I'd been blind, and now that I knew, I couldn't unsee it. Every little thing she'd done, every smile she'd flashed, every late night, all suddenly had a new meaning. I knew I couldn't just sweep this under the rug or pretend like it didn't happen. I had to confront her again, but this time I wanted answers, truth, no matter how ugly. The next day I called in sick from work. I needed a plan. I wasn't going to just walk away without knowing everything. I started digging through her social media, her emails, her texts, everything I could find. It was a mess. There were more texts from Ryan, emails from a fake account she used to hide her tracks, even little lies about where she was going. I found a series of photos from their supposed meetups, him with that smirk, her with her legs crossed, that cocky look she always gave when she thought she was getting away with something. I saved everything, feeling like I was building evidence for a war I didn't want to fight but knew I had to. By evening I was ready. I knew I couldn't just go in swinging, it'd make her shut down, lie her way out of it again. Instead, I called her and told her I needed to talk. When she came home, she looked annoyed, like she was already planning her next excuse. I kept my voice calm, cold even. Emily, I know what's been going on. The texts, the emails, the meetups, I saw everything. Her face contorted like I just insulted her. She started lying again, saying she was just talking to Ryan to get back at some guy who was cheating on her first. That was her usual spin, blame everyone else, say she's the victim. But I'm not stupid. I told her I wasn't buying it, that she'd been caught in her web of lies. Then I dropped the bomb. If she wanted to keep lying and pretending everything was fine, I was done. I told her I was going to stay at my brother for a few days to think. That night I lay awake trying to process everything. It felt like my entire world was collapsing around me. I loved her, but I couldn't ignore what she'd done. I couldn't stand the thought of her in someone else's bed, of her sneaking around behind my back while I was sleeping next to her every night. But part of me also wondered, was there any way back from this? Or was I just fooling myself, holding onto something that was already broken? I kept asking myself, how do you come back from betrayal like this? How do you even begin to forgive someone who lied so blatantly, who used sex as a weapon and then lied some more? I knew I had to decide soon or the pain would swallow me whole, but right now I just felt empty, like I'd lost a part of myself I'd never get back. A few days went by in a blur. I stayed at my brother's house trying to keep a clear head, but it was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, that smirk she had when she lied to me again. I kept replaying the moments when I saw her sneaking her phone, the little things she said to cover her tracks. It was like living in someone else's nightmare, but I knew I couldn't avoid it forever. I had to face her again, had to hear what she had to say, if she had anything genuine to say or just more bullshit to cover her ass. When I finally went back home, she was there, sitting on the couch, looking like she was already planning her next move. Her eyes flicked over me, smirk still lingering on her face. She knew she'd been caught and she was trying to act like she didn't care. That was typical Emily, bitchy, self-centered, manipulative. I looked at her and realized I'd never really known her at all. All those years I'd given her, trusted her, and she'd been secretly cheating behind my back. It made me sick to my stomach. I decided I wasn't going to let her spin her usual lies anymore. I sat down opposite her, took a deep breath, and stared her right in the eyes. Listen, Emily, I know what you've been doing. I saw the messages. I know about Ryan. And I want the truth, no more bullshit. Tell me why you did it, why you cheated on me with some asshole from your past. Her lips curled into that familiar, dismissive sneer. Oh, grow up, Jake. It's not like I lied forever. I told you I was bored. You weren't enough anymore. Besides, it was just sex. He's nothing serious. Just a stupid fling, okay? You're overreacting. Her voice was clipped, cutting, like she was trying to dismiss my feelings, but I saw through her. I saw the lies, the way she was trying to make herself sound like the victim. I didn't lose my cool, but my voice was steady, hard. That's bullshit, Emily. You're not just some innocent victim here. You've been sneaking around, lying and cheating. You used sex as your weapon, as a way to feel alive, I guess. Well, now I see who you really are, and I don't want any part of it. Her eyes flashed with irritation, but I kept going. You want to tell me it's just sex? Fine, but I don't believe you, because if it was just sex, you wouldn't hide it, you wouldn't lie. You'd be honest with me, and instead you chose to betray me. So I'm done pretending I don't see what you are. You're a cheat, Emily, and I'm done with that life. She crossed her arms, sneering, and said, Whatever, Jake. You're just angry now. You'll get over it. Everyone cheats sometimes. That last part was her way of trying to dismiss me, to make everything seem insignificant, but I knew better. I knew I was in too deep to ignore the truth anymore. I felt a strange mixture of heartbreak and rage. Heartbreak because I'd trusted her, rage because she'd lied and then just shrugged it off like it was nothing. I realized then I couldn't stay with her. Not after this. I had to decide whether to cut her loose completely or try to fix what was broken. Honestly, part of me wanted to hurt her back, to make her feel the pain she'd caused me, but I knew that wouldn't fix anything. So I told her I was leaving for good, that I needed space to think, to breathe. I packed a bag and left, feeling like I'd lost everything I cared about, but also knowing I had to protect myself from more damage. As I drove away, I kept thinking about how this betrayal had rocked my world, how she used my feelings as a playground for her lies. And I wondered, how many other lies had she told? How deep did this rabbit hole go? I still didn't know what I was going to do next, but I knew one thing. I wouldn't be the fool anymore. I'd spend whatever time I needed healing, and I'd find a way to move on. Because staying wouldn't just hurt me. It would make me into someone I didn't want to be. The days that followed were some of the hardest I've ever experienced. I spent hours just driving around trying to clear my head, but everything kept circling back to her. Emily, that bitch. I couldn't shake the feelings, anger, betrayal, heartbreak. Honestly, I felt like I'd been sucker punched in the gut, and it wasn't just about the cheating. It was about trust, about the life I thought we were building. Every time I'd start to think I was over it, some new thought would pop up and I'd feel that same surge of rage all over again. The worst part was I kept second-guessing myself. Was I overreacting? Did I miss signs? Maybe I should have seen it coming. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just some minor slip-up. Emily's lies had cut way too deep. I'd always believed in honesty, in loyalty, in the kind of love that sticks around when things get messy. But she tore all that apart with her lies and her betrayal. I felt stupid for trusting her, but at the same time I realized I wasn't weak. I just loved her more than I should have. And that love was the reason I'd stayed so long before finally seeing the truth. Eventually, I decided I needed to confront her again, but this time I wanted closure. I called her, told her I'd come back. She answered with that typical snide tone she used when she thought she was already winning. "What do you want, Jake? You're just overreacting. This is all a mistake." That's when I finally snapped. I told her I was done playing pretend. I wanted her to look me in the eye and tell me the truth. No more lies, no more bullshit. I was tired of the games, tired of feeling like I was walking on thin ice, waiting for the next betrayal. When she finally came over, she looked defensive, like she was ready to deny everything again. But I wasn't having it. I set some ground rules: no more lies, no more bullshit. I wanted her to be honest, or I was walking away for good. And then I asked the hardest question of all. "Emily, are you actually in love with Ryan? Or was this just some stupid fling to make yourself feel powerful?" She shrugged, that bitchy smirk creeping back onto her face. "Honestly, I don't know. Maybe I was just bored. Maybe I liked the attention. It doesn't matter. What matters is, I don't want to be with you anymore, Jake. So I'm done." That's when I realized she was trying to manipulate me again, to make me feel guilty for holding her accountable, but I wasn't falling for it. I told her I was done, that I couldn't stay with someone who lied to my face and used sex to get her way. I told her I deserved better, someone who'd treat me like I mattered, not like some stupid fool she could string along. She rolled her eyes and dismissed me, saying I was overreacting, that I was insecure. That was her usual tactic: blame the victim. But I knew better now. I'd seen her true colors, and I wasn't going to pretend I didn't. I made my decision to walk away that day, and as I packed my stuff to leave her place, I felt a strange mix of relief and despair. The pain was real, but so was the clarity. I knew I'd never trust her again. The betrayal had shattered whatever little piece of love I had left. I kept thinking about the things I could have done differently, but none of that mattered anymore. What mattered was that I was finally free from her lies. I'd spent so many years trying to build something real, only to find out it was all just a lie. I promised myself I'd heal and move on, though I knew the scars would stay for a long time. Still, I felt a flicker of hope. Hope that someday I'd find someone who honestly cared about me, who wouldn't use sex or lies as weapons. For now, I had to focus on rebuilding myself. The days turned into weeks after I walked away from Emily, and honestly, I felt like I was barely surviving. Every morning I woke up with a knot in my stomach, and every night I'd lie awake reliving what happened. Her lies, her sneers, the way she told me I was just overreacting. It was like living in a constant state of betrayal, and all I wanted was to forget her, forget the pain she caused me. But no matter how much I tried to distract myself, the memories kept coming back. I kept asking myself, how could she do this? How could someone I loved, someone I thought loved me back, be so damn cruel? I started seeing a therapist, trying to work through the anger and sadness. It helped a little, but honestly, I still felt broken. I was angry at her for cheating, but I was angrier at myself for ever trusting her. I was angry at Ryan for being that guy, the one who took my wife's loyalty and turned it into a game. But mostly, I was angry at Emily for turning what could have been a good life into this nightmare. I kept replaying every moment, the signs I ignored, her lies, the way she dismissed my feelings. It made me sick, but I also knew I couldn't pretend anymore. I had to accept that she'd betrayed me in the worst way possible. One day, I decided to clear out some of her things. I went to her place and packed what I could, nothing sentimental, just the essentials. As I was doing that, I found a box tucked away in her closet filled with souvenirs from her trips with Ryan, hotel receipts, notes, even a condom wrapper. It was like a final punch to the gut. I sat there for a while, holding the evidence, feeling the weight of everything she'd hidden from me. That moment, I realized she'd been playing me all along, using me as a backup plan while she went off chasing some high she'd never get back. I felt a mix of disgust and relief. Disgust for her, relief for finally seeing the truth plainly. After that, I started focusing on myself. I'd never been so alone, but I knew I had to rebuild. I started hitting the gym, hanging out with friends, and even took up some new hobbies. I didn't want to be that broken guy forever, but I also didn't want to forget what happened. I wanted it to be a lesson about trust, about love, about knowing when to walk away. I realized that sometimes the biggest act of love is walking away from someone who's hurting you. That's what I had to do. I had to save myself from her lies, her manipulations, her betrayal. It wasn't easy, and I still had days where I wondered if I'd ever be able to trust again, but I knew I had to move forward. The hardest part was accepting that she wasn't coming back, that I had to start over alone. But I also knew in my heart that I deserved better. I deserved honesty, loyalty, someone who wouldn't cheat, who wouldn't lie. I had to let go of the idea that she was somehow worth saving. She chose her path and I had to choose mine. So I made a promise to myself, no more hiding, no more pretending. I'd heal, I'd learn, and I'd move on. Because staying attached to her, to the pain, wouldn't do me any favors in the long run. It was time to rebuild my life, one step at a time, with the hope that someday I'd find real love again. Now here I am, months later, looking back at everything that happened, and honestly, I feel like I've come a long way. The pain hasn't disappeared completely, but it's dulled enough that I can breathe again without feeling like I'm suffocating. I still think about Emily sometimes, about how someone I loved could turn out to be so different from what I thought. But I also realize that her betrayal taught me something crucial. I'm stronger than I believed. I learned that love isn't just about trusting blindly. Sometimes, you have to see the signs and walk away before it's too late. The biggest lesson I've taken from all this is that no matter how much you want to believe in someone, you can't ignore the red flags forever. And if they cheat, lie, or manipulate, the only way to truly heal is to cut ties and focus on yourself. That's what I did. I started rebuilding my confidence, my sense of self-worth, and my hope that someday I'll find someone who genuinely cares about me, someone who doesn't use sex as a weapon or lie to get what they want. Looking back, I realized that the pain was necessary. It hurt like hell, but it made me realize what I deserve. I don't regret ending things with Emily. If anything, I'm grateful I finally saw her for who she really was. The trust was shattered, but I've learned to pick up the pieces and move forward. I've cut off the toxic parts of my life and I've focused on healing. I've been honest with myself about what went wrong and what I need to avoid in the future. That honesty is what's finally helping me move on. So, to anyone out there going through something similar, my advice is simple. Don't ignore the signs. Don't stay in a relationship just because you're afraid of being alone or because you think it can be fixed. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is walk away, even if it hurts like hell, because in the end you owe it to yourself to be with someone who respects and values you, someone who's honest, loyal, and worth your love. No matter how much it hurts now, you'll come out on the other side stronger. And when you do, you'll realize that the pain was just a chapter in your story, one that led you to a better, brighter future.